Virajacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Skon Sanskritacharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samavetha Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swami Nitinamide Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vacharine Nirvishesha Shunyanari Vashakadesha Kadine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Chaitanya Shiva Sri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 We can read from Bhagavad Gita, it's right here, right? Why not? Translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-vedanta Swami Prabhupada. I was asked to speak about Sādhu-śāstra-guru, right? Everybody, I think that's the topic. So we have a verse in Bhagavad Gita which is appropriate. 1623. 16. Yakshastra vidim utsrijya vartate kama karataha nasasidhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. So Krishna speaks to Arjuna and he tells him, he who discards scriptural injunctions, Shastra, and acts according to his own whims, attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Purport. As described before, the Shastra Vidhi, the direction of the Shastra, is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts whimsically according to his lust, greed and desire, then he never will be perfect in his life. In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is to be known as the lowest of mankind. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow the regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore one should gradually raise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then and there that he can attain the highest perfectional stage, not otherwise. So this is a negative description. If we do not follow. So let's see the relationship between Sādhu-śāstra-guru and Srila Prabhupada. Regularly in his classes and also in his books, you will see he quotes from Narottam Das Thakur. And because that's part of what we know as the Guru Vandana, the prayers to the spiritual master. What we sing in Guru Puja, right? We have 4 verses we sing. The whole prayer is longer. I think it's about 9. And Srila Prabhupada just quotes one line, which is actually from the last verse. Sādhu-śāstra-guru vakya hridaye koriya aikya. It's Bengali. Hear some Bengalis here? So nobody noticed that I wasn't pronouncing it correctly. But it's more or less is Sādhu-śāstra-guru vakya hridaye koriya aikya. And I will read from Prabhupada's purpose. He says, the meaning of this instruction is that one must consider the instructions of the sadhu, the revealed scriptures, and the spiritual master in order to understand the real purpose of spiritual life. But let's begin, this is in the middle of the purport. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 7, verse 48. And it speaks about, it gives a summary about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, this chapter is the Panchatattva. And it says there that on the basis of scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which reveal confidential directions, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami regarding all the regular activities of a devotee. That's the verse. And Srila Prabhupada, now in the purport, he speaks about these points of Sādhu-śāstra-guru. In the Parampara system, the instructions taken from the bona fide spiritual master must also be based on revealed Vedic scriptures. One who is in the line of disciplic succession cannot manufacture his own way of behavior. There are so many so-called followers of the Vaishnava cult in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who do not scrupulously follow the conclusions of the Shastras, and therefore they are considered to be Apa Sampradaya, which means outside of the Sampradaya. And some of these groups are known as, and he gives the list of the Sahajiyas in Bengal, Aul, Baul, Kartabaji, Taravesha, Shani, Sahajiya, Sakibeki, etc. In order to follow strictly the disciplic succession of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one should not associate with these Asampradaya communities. One who is not taught by a bona fide spiritual master cannot understand the Vedic literature. To emphasize this point, Lord Krishna, while instructing Arjuna, clearly said that it was because Arjuna was his devotee and confidential friend that he could understand the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita. It is to be concluded, therefore, that one who wants to understand the mystery of revealed scriptures must approach a bona fide spiritual master, hear from him very submissively and render service to him. Then the import of the scriptures will be revealed. It is stated in the Vedas, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tata gurau, tasyaite katita yarta prakashante mahatmanaha. The real import of the scriptures is revealed to one who has unflinching faith in both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the spiritual master. Srila Narottam Das Thakur advises Sādhu-śāstra-guru vakya hridaye koriya aikya. The meaning of this instruction is that one must consider the instructions of the sadhu, the revealed scriptures, and the spiritual master in order to understand the real purpose of life. Neither a sadhu, a saintly person or Vaishnava, nor a bona fide spiritual master says anything that is beyond the scope of the sanction of the revealed scriptures. Thus, the statements of the revealed scriptures correspond to those of the bona fide spiritual master in saintly persons. One must therefore act with reference to these three important sources of understanding. So, and let me see, I have some, yes, there's another purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, where this point is made that the actual center is the Shastra, the revealed scripture. If a spiritual master does not speak according to the revealed scripture, he is not to be accepted. Similarly, if a saintly person does not speak according to the Shastra, he is not a saintly person. The Shastra is the center for all. So this is the first thing we should understand. We have these three, Sadhu-guru Shastra, and the most important, the center is Shastra, scripture. Because anybody may say anything. And as we know from history, there's so many, and especially in India, of course, people who pretend to be enlightened or even incarnations, avatars or whatever, Bhagavans, Rajneesh. And we had the Guru Maharaji, who, you don't know, it's like 60 years ago, who had a flute and a crown like Krishna, and his mother presented him as God. And people believed it. But he's not mentioned in Shastra, so... So no, Shastra is the center of everything, and everything has to be judged from Shastra, which means Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Upanishads, Puranas, etc. And then, of course, they are interdependent. In order to really understand Shastra, one has to also approach the Sadhu and the Guru. Or actually first the Sadhus, and then amongst the Sadhus one may find somebody who inspires us, who evokes our faith, and then we accept that Sadhu as a Guru. Sadhu and Guru are basically the same, but amongst the Sadhus, one Sadhu may become prominent in our lives, and that becomes our Guru. And as Prabhupada says, if they suddenly speak against or something that is not in Shastra, then they're not to be accepted. So, this is a very simple understanding in one sense. I can have some other small quote here from the 4th canto. You will see, probably will say the same thing. Chapter 26, he says, one cannot return to Krishna consciousness unless he is favored by the instructions of a saintly person, which means Sadhu or Guru, both. And therefore, Srila Narottam Das Thakur sings, and he's quoting again, Sādhu-śāstra-guru Vakya, Chittate Koriya Aikya. If we want to become saintly persons, or if we want to return to our original Krishna consciousness, we must associate with Sadhu, a saintly person, Shastra, authoritative Vedic literature, and Guru, a bona fide spiritual master. This is the process. So there's a process. One cannot, as he also said before, manufacture one's own my way. There's a famous song, I do it my way. Everybody knows, Frankie. So that's normally our consciousness. We just don't want to be told what to do. And that's exactly what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. There's Shastra Vidhi. In Shastra there are so many rules and regulations, instructions given. But then Utsrijya, we give it up, we don't care. And Vartate Kama Karataha. Kama, everybody knows, means desire, right? And Karataha, to act. So to act according to one's, Prabhupada says, whims. In the 60s we had a hippie philosophy. If it feels good, do it. Which sounds logical, no? If something feels good, you do it, of course. If it doesn't feel good, you don't do it. No? You do this also. If it feels good, you do it. If you like something, you go for it. If you dislike it, I don't want to have anything to do with it. But sometimes it may be that some instructions from Shastra we may not like, but they're actually good. That happens. And something we may like, apparently, is not good. And generally we know this, especially if health is concerned, right? Some things, if you have a certain condition, even if you like that type of food, not good for you. Like if somebody has diabetes, certain things not recommended. If you can take, but then you have to suffer. And sometimes people say, oh, I don't care, because I like it so much, I take it, even if I have to suffer. Then I get a shot and everything is okay. Or another example, this is typical Kali Yuga. How is it called when you have this acid coming from the stomach? Reflux?
Reflux.
Yes. Huh? But maybe somebody has experienced this? Yeah? We all can all raise our hands. So this comes, I think, from probably eating in the wrong way or eating the wrong type of food or whatever. If your stomach cannot handle certain things, you should not eat that. Now, of course, we are so advanced in science, they will propose, and there's advertisement, don't worry, you can eat anything. We have a pill. You take that pill after eating, no reflux. Problem solved. Looks like. You cannot cheat, you know. So material nature will. There's some other. There will be some second. How you say, side effect.
Side.
Yes. There will be a side effect. Maybe not immediate, but after so many years taking this every day, because you always eat the wrong thing, then suddenly there will be something very serious. Who knows? Some gastro ulcer type, or even a tumor. Who knows? So we can disregard, you know, good instructions, but then after some time the suffering will be there, and then we may even be sorry. Oh, if I would have known. But then generally it's too late. So therefore those who are intelligent, they take instructions before having to experience the suffering. That's also in the 6th canto, if you remember, connected with the story of Ajamil. There Prabhupada mentions that those who are intelligent, they hear from sources, authoritative sources, that stealing is not good. So that they understand that and they don't do it. Then those who are less intelligent, they're not convinced. But then they see somebody who is stealing, he is caught and put into jail. Said, not a good idea. So then he doesn't do it. But then the least intelligent person, he has heard that it's not good, you have problems. He has seen that somebody else is caught and be put into jail. But he does it anyway. And then he ends up in jail. And the really stupid one has seen all that, he heard about it, he is put into jail, he comes out, he does it again. Right? We all know this. So this you can apply to any other circumstance. We have heard about it, it's not good. We have seen it's not good. My neighbor or friend or whoever is suffering of it. And then we do it and we also suffer, but then we do it again. So this is, therefore Krishna consciousness is not for stupid persons. You have to be a little intelligent. Yeah, you're laughing, but you have to be. A little bit. But don't ask too much. Actually, because, why? As we understand, these instructions are not just the invention or, how you say, imagination of somebody who comes up with some process or some rules just to make our life miserable. Don't eat meat, don't drink, don't smoke. Oh, why not? And as Prabhupada mentioned in the beginning, there are certain rules and regulations for the different parts of society, right? You remember that? That is called the Dharma, Swadharma, according to our situation, our body, and our birth. And as it is said, Dharman tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. This Dharma, these rules, they're coming from the highest source, from Krishna himself, and Bhagavad Gita is the prime example. 700 verses, Krishna speaking. And therefore, we should take it seriously. It's not just some imagination or maybe applicable to India many thousand years ago, but nowadays times have changed. Times apparently have changed, but material nature actually doesn't change, and the living entity and its situation in the material world doesn't change either. It's actually always the same. There's three modes of material nature. There's birth, death, old age, and disease. Doesn't matter when you live, and doesn't matter in what society and who you are. It's applicable to everybody. So therefore, these instructions are what is called timeless, right? Of Bhagavatam, let's look at the instructions of Prahlad Maharaj, for example. That's how long ago? Millions of years ago. So does it mean, oh, this is so long ago, this may be at that time? He speaks to his friends, you have probably read 7th Canto. He's instructing his schoolmates. So all these instructions are applicable to us also. Doesn't matter if it's a million years later, because the material nature in essence doesn't change. It's a machine that's working according to certain laws. And if we understand that living in the material world is a problem which should be solved, then one will take these instructions from the scriptures and from Sadhu and Shastra seriously. Then you can solve these problems, otherwise it will not be possible. And therefore the question was, what happens if you don't follow? Well, that's what Krishna says. You may remember, Sasitim na avapnoti, perfection you will not get, na sukham, no, not real happiness, and na param gatim, the supreme destination will not be attained. So it's your choice. Somebody may say, who cares? Or you say that. He may say this, but I will prove him wrong. I will become perfect, I will be completely happy, and I will go to the supreme destination, although I don't care. You can try. But because it's actually the law, we may imagine ourselves that things will be in a different way, or we can make some arrangement so that this will not happen. But ultimately, we will see that all these things are actually, unfortunately, true. Bad news. We try to escape and utsrija, disregard. But then there will be consequences. So, and ultimately, because we are independent for a tiny little degree, we definitely can decide ourselves. We are not obliged. Nobody is obliged. Well, material nature will oblige us. Nobody wants to die, but we'll have to. We have seen, no? We can just open the news. There will be practically all news is negative. Wars, earthquakes, some disaster, or some shooting, very prominent nowadays, every other day. There are probably more shootings than days in the year. So this will happen, and although we may not want it, it will come anyway. So this is the situation which will not be possible to change. As Krishna says in the 15th chapter, or 8th chapter, Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. This place is a Dukkha Alayam. Alayam, you know the word, means place, and Dukkha, everybody knows also, Sukha and Dukkha. So it's a place of suffering, unfortunately, bad news. You try to make it Sukhalayam. We are trying very hard, by science, by politics, by so many arrangements. But Krishna says, no, you can do whatever you want. Even the heavenly planets are not exempt. There will be some demon coming and throw you off your heavenly planet, and then you have to get into a war with them and all that. So, and Ashashvatam, even if, let's say, you get a Sukhalayam, paradise on earth, right? But it's Ashashvatam. You all understand the word. Temporary. It's not permanent. So, and somebody, of course, may say, well, yeah, but that's life. So let's just, what did the Romans say? You may know this. Carpe diem. You know that expression? Seize the day. which means just make the best of the time you have. Just enjoy. And just the other day, I think today, when we walked, I saw the Chilean version of it. I mean, I was surprised because, wow, they know Latin. Carpe noctem. Seize the night. Which is, of course, we know that this is very prominent. Especially now we have Saturday, right? Today is Saturday night fever. La fiebre de la noche del sábado. And we like it. Again, we like it. People, hopefully you don't like it, but people like it. So therefore, carpe diem y carpe noctem. It sees day and night. I mean, 24 hours. There's no stopping. And of course, you can do this, especially in Spain. It's also very prominent on the Mediterranean coast in the summer. Not now. Well, here now. And probably in Vinya also they will do this. On Friday afternoon, evening, the first ecstasy. You go on. You don't have to sleep. You practically don't have to eat. You don't have to drink. Don't do this because then after some time you may drop and that's it. But they go on until Monday morning. When the sun comes up, finished. From Friday night, Saturday, Sunday to Monday. Carpe diem, carpe noctem. You take night and day, just enjoy like crazy. Then you drop half dead, but you recuperate. And then again. Until the last one, and then you don't get up again. So, I mean, that's the reality, unfortunately, and we should know this because the illusion is very strong. And illusion, Maya, we know Maya, will paint such a picture that it looks like, well, it looks actually fantastic. Let's try. Maybe it works. Maybe all this is just, of course it's, all right, Krishna is okay, but it's a long time ago. It's a battlefield, What do I have to do with the battlefield? So, no. Sādhu-śāstra-guru, whatever they tell us, is for our good. And those who are intelligent, they will take it a little seriously and then apply it, as Prabhupada talked about applying. Even if you know all these things, if you don't apply it, it practically doesn't have much meaning. So if we apply it, then we will actually see in a practical way that these instructions are correct and they will lead to a positive result. So, anything you want to comment or question? The message is clear actually, but there may be some doubts. Who knows? Why not? Doubts is a sign of intelligence. So be intelligent. Are you intelligent? Maybe a little bit. So you have any doubts? No doubts? Okay. Otherwise we can read some more purport. It's always good to hear. This is another one. Let me see. From 10th canto. Second chapter, verse 37. This is the prayers of the demigods when Krishna was in the womb. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, one should not give up the process of devotional service, which is performed in 9 different ways. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Parasevanam, etc. The most important process is hearing Shravanam from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. The spiritual master, the saintly acharyas and the Vedic literature. And he quotes again, Sādhu-śāstra-guru Vakya Chitite Kariya Aikya. We should not hear the commentaries and explanations of non-devotees, for this is strictly forbidden by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who quotes from the Padma Purana, Avaishnava Mukho Girnam Putam Harikatamritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpuchchtam Yathapaya, We should strictly follow this injunction and never hear from Mayavadis, impersonalists, voidists, politicians, or so-called scholars. Strictly avoiding such inauspicious association, we should simply hear from pure devotees. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore recommends Sri Guru Parashraya. One must seek shelter at the lotus feet of a pure devotee who can be one's guru. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advises that a guru is one who strictly follows the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. Yare deka tare kaha Krishna Upadesh. A juggler or magician or one who speaks nonsense as an academic career is not a guru. Rather, a guru is one who presents Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's instructions, as it is. Shravana is very important. One must hear from the Vaishnava Sadhu, Guru and Shastra. So, here you have it. Whatever you need to become perfect, it's right there. Yes, please. Intelligent. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, my question is, can you explain who is a sadhu? Because in the purport, Prabhupada said impersonal is not a sadhu.
Right. Yes.
But in Western countries, because ignorance, we can. I don't know who is a sadhu. In follow, someone see a sadhu, but it's not a sadhu.
Okay, let's think about that. So Prabhupada translates sadhu as saintly person. Who is a saintly person? Actually, in Bhagavad Gita, everything actually, if we look at it, there's everything in Bhagavad Gita. In verse 930, I believe, maybe, hopefully, Krishna talks about sadhu. He uses the word sadhu. And the definition he gives, bhajate mam ananyabhak sadhu eva samantavya. And this is, bhajate, we proper translates engaged in devotional service. Bhajan, worship. Mam, Krishna says, who is engaged in service to me or who worships me. And now comes a very important part, Ananya Bhak. Ananya means not other, or without deviation, focused. Sadhu, a saint, one who engages in devotional service without deviation, Ananya Bhak. That is a sadhu, a saint. That's a simple definition. So one has to, to be accepted as sadhu, as you pointed out in Western society, or even in India, people take whoever has a long beard and maybe even a dress like this, and maybe a stick, in a water pot, and an iPhone. That is a sadhu. Oh, you will be so. You're going to Google Images and you look for sadhus from India. They all have an iPhone. Nowadays,
from donations.
Well, who knows? Maybe they go online. Amazon. You can get it. Anyway, so no, the definition that Krishna is giving, one should be a devotee of Krishna, of the Lord, Vishnu, Ram, Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. Then that person is considered a sadhu.
Maharaj, ¿le puedo hablar en español que en inglés no?
Then you oblige me to translate. Entonces tengo que
translate.
Very good. But your English was okay. I understood it.
Para poder formular bien la pregunta, lo que pasa es que en el capítulo 12, Krishna dice que el camino impersonal también es un camino. Y lo nombra, pero que es muy penoso y muy dificultoso.
Yeah, so it's your choice.
Krishna ahí dice que también ellos son trascendentalistas, pero no se les llama sadhu. Entonces me gustaría saber cuál es la diferencia entonces.
Bueno, no sé. También en el quinto. Well, now we're not going to speak Spanish. No, we have to translate first. Yeah.
So the question was that Krishna in the chapter 12 says that impersonality path is also a path.
Pero no lo nombra como Sadhu.
But Krishna doesn't name these impersonalists as sadhus.
Let's see what text you're referring to, because
Bhakti-yoga.
Sí, 12:6.
6. Okay, vamos a ver 6. Let's see text 6.
Por ahí.
Doesn't look like. No, what I was referring to, that in the 5th chapter of 5th canto, Rishabdev, in verse 2, he also speaks about transcendentalists, and some are called impersonalists. I mean, even, let's consider verse 7:4, I think. There's different stages of what is called transcendentalist or perfection even. Like, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. Right? Siddhaye means perfection. So he says, out of many thousands of people, one may endeavor for perfection. So what is that perfection, for example? And then he says, yatatam api siddhanam, those who have attained perfection, maybe one is a devotee. So that means, apparently you can attain perfection without being a devotee. Which is another question. What does that mean? So what is this perfection? This perfection is simply to understand I'm not the body. So there's different grades of understanding. And I think we can apply this to transcendentalists. Whatever is beyond the material world, and Brahman is, that's transcendental. It's impersonal. There's different, we have, as Bhagavatam says, there are 3 aspects to transcendence. It's a non-dual substance in one sense, but there are 3 aspects. Brahman, Paramati, Paramatmati, Bhagavaniti, Shabhyate. So there's Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But it's ultimately, they're all connected. Brahman, what is it? It's Krishna's effulgence. So, it's transcendental. And perfection can be achieved if one comes to that stage, because it's beyond the material world. But it's not the highest perfection. So one may even, you may then say, okay, that's also a sadhu, but it's not, the highest type of sadhu. Otherwise, we would have to do a little research. If there is how the different definitions go when sadhu is talked about. But as I said in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhu eva samantavya. The person who is fixed in my service without deviation, that is considered to be a sadhu. Yeah. We can just accept that as a definition, I think. There may be something else. Then we have to speak of a lower grade sadhu and a higher grade sadhu. Well, even amongst devotees we have this. People sometimes, what is a devotee? Well, there are even devotees of bad character, right? Because Kapila Dev speaks about it in the 3rd canto. That type of devotee is called a prakrita bhakta. It's a bhakta, but it's like, materialistic devotee. It's possible. It's not like, mutually exclusive. That somebody who is a devotee cannot be simultaneously materialistic. He can be, but he's not. And then Prabhupada he uses the name, he's not a very high grade devotee. But devotee in that sense means somebody who accepts that there is a supreme person, God. He's not a Mayavadi. So that's a devotee. I mean, even anybody from any type of faith, what we call a faith, other traditions, if they accept there is a supreme personality, God, He's a person. He's the creator. He's the maintainer, the controller. That's a devotee. Maybe not a very, then what about his character? Well, that's the point. As Kapila Deva points out, he may be angry, lusty, and envious, and all these bad qualities, but, because he accepted the Lord and is worshipping the Lord, he's still to be considered a devotee. But and then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out, if that person is of bad character, don't associate with that person. So that may mean even somebody may be a devotee, but you may have to avoid his association. So there's subtle, differences. So a sadhu may be, if we accept that a devotee can be like this, so there may be a materialistic sadhu also. Because generally sadhu devotee basically is understood to be synonymous. I mean, we are speculating a little bit. But we could find out more definitions just to make sure, And you can do your research. Nowadays it's easy. You just ask ChatGPT, what is a sadhu? I don't have internet here, but if we ask the question, we can find out. Would be interesting. Is it easy to get online here?
Yes, I'll try my
Just as an experiment, we're going to ask, what is a sadhu? And we'll get a definition.
I have ChatGPT here.
Yeah, ask the question.
But should I prompt him?
What is a sadhu?
But should I prompt ChatGPT based on the Bhagavad Gita as it is?
No. Just let's see what he says.
He knows what to do.
Yeah, he knows what to do, exactly.
No, but what if he takes the information from Wikipedia?
We don't know. Let's see what he
Okay,
says.
what is a sadhu?
What is a sadhu?
Will someone wants to read it?
Yeah, please.
You want to read it?
That's the easy part. We got the answer, and it just takes a fraction of a second. Of course, a sadhu is a Hindu ascetic. They don't, long beard and long hair and an iPhone. Or holy person who renounces worldly pursuits and dedicates their life to spiritual practices. Not so bad, huh? Meditation and devotion. So, they often lead a simple life and often not. Focusing on achieving spiritual enlightenment and detachment from material possessions. Well, it's a very general description of a sadhu, but they dedicate their life to spiritual practices and devotion. So, and then if you prompt the question a little more detailed, you will get different answer. But anyway, so of course, I can do also very quick on the Veda base. If you just see how many times Prabhupada speaks about sadhu, you'll be surprised. 2,593 times the word sadhu is mentioned. So it's a very common word. And here gives a very simple definition, right here. Bhagavad Gita 4.8. According to Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. That's it. So here you have your answer. And then he says, a person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. He's referring to 930, Api Sechuru Suduracharu. And that verse is the most misunderstood verse in the whole Bhagavad Gita. So this Suduracharo, which means bad behavior, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, refers to the mundane consideration of piety, religiosity, morality, which may or may not apply to a devotee who is fully and wholly, as he says here, in Krishna consciousness. Because, like Arjuna, according to moral consideration, to kill everybody on the battlefield is not good. That's what he was bringing up as a argument against the idea to fight, right? But then finally it was Krishna's desire, and that Prabhupada many times points out, whatever Krishna desires is good. It may appear to our understanding as, our consideration is not good. Like even the whole Bhagavad Gita in itself, one may question, why is God telling somebody to fight and kill people? That's not good. And those who know will say, no, it's very good. Anyway, so that's the definition. That's just the first one on the list of 5,000. What was it? No, 2,593. Second one, let's see the down. That's from chapter 17. Acting in Krishna consciousness is called sattva. And one who is fully conscious of the activities of Krishna consciousness is called a sadhu. So sattva and sadhu are probably, from the etymological point of view, connected. Let's see. And here a sadhu is equivalent to great sage. So that's also. Shukadeva Goswami was a sadhu. We have one example. This is all from Prabhupada's purports. Let's see where else. Anyway, it's a saintly person practicing Krishna consciousness, dedicating their life to meditation, devotion, renouncing the world, ascetic, a holy man. So it's like that.
But can all sadhus be considered as a spiritual guru? Maybe one sadhu can be pure devotee, but may not be like knowledgeable of all shastra. So,
well, that's another question. Does a guru have to be knowledgeable of all shastra? What does that? How many shastras we are talking about? Should he memorize them all? Is that necessary? Or maybe just understand the conclusions? If we take, and Prabhupada mentions this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually giving the definition. There it says, Krishna veti tattva, sei guru hoy. Somebody who knows, can this be adjusted? It's too much travel. If somebody knows the signs of Krishna, then he is considered a guru. Generally, and of course, Yare Deka Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh. Krishna Upadesh means, somebody who will present Krishna's instructions. One may not, if I just have Bhagavad Gita with me and, I read from Bhagavad Gita, I speak from Bhagavad Gita, I don't have to be able to memorize everything, but I understood the conclusion. One should understand, sadhu or guru should understand the siddhanta, the conclusion, and be able to present it. And if there's some doubts or questions, you should be able to give the answers, even by looking up in a book, or go online, whatever way, But so of course one should know the conclusions correctly. And as he pointed out with the parampara system, there are so many who come to their own conclusions, which is siddhanta, and then it's called apa siddhanta, outside, some against the proper conclusions. But even this, what we refer to as knowledge, let's consider Srila Gaura Das Babaji, who couldn't even sign his name. But he knew, of course, all the conclusions of the Shastras. He may not be able to read, but he has heard properly, even before there was no book. It was all Shrutidar. One would be able to hear and would be in the memory. So somehow or other one understands, and one may not even, it's not necessary to know all the Shastras, because ultimately the conclusion is the same. It's just presented in different ways from different angles. So, and I mean, even Prabhupada said, if you just know Bhagavad Gita, that's enough. Because, everything is here. Or if one knows Bhagavatam, even the first canto, if you understand, even Prabhupada said, one purport, if you understand it properly, it's in one sense enough. No? I mean, Krishna consciousness philosophy is not very difficult. First of all, we are spirit soul, we are part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore we are his servants eternally by constitution. And to engage in the service, that's the activity that is, leads to our perfection, to become Krishna conscious and be reinstated in our position as Krishna's eternal servants. And at the end of life, go back to Godhead. So yes, there's nothing else, really. Everything else is like explaining the same thing from different angles. I mean, you can go into more details, like Dashamula. There's 10 principles explained. But the first one is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the living entities are spiritual integral parts and parcels, no? Angsha, Maya, Vangsha, Jiva, Loka, Jiva, Bhuta, Sanatana, Krishna says. They're all my parts and parcels. So what's our position? We are, as part and parcel, servant. And if you do this, nothing else is really necessary. Okay.
Cuando se refería a toda la escritura, ¿se refería a la escritura solamente de Krishna o todas las escrituras de otras religiones?
Shastra is, if it's a, bona fide Shastra, can be from any tradition. If the conclusion is the same, no? It's like when we talk about chanting the holy name, which is like the Yuga Dharma, the religion of the age. It doesn't mean only chanting Hare Krishna. It could, when Prabhupada came to Germany, that's where we had this, we published this little book. What is it? Christus, Christo, Krishna. There came this Benedictine monk, Father Jungklausen. I was there when he came. He was, in his 40s. Now I think he already died. And they were talking about this point, and Prabhupada was like emphasizing, asking him that you should introduce the chanting of the holy name of God in your circles, And it doesn't have to be Krishna. You can use your whatever name you have for God. So you could chant, Allah, or you can chant Jehovah, or even he said Christo or Christus. So somehow or other, the conclusion, if it's a bona fide scripture, the conclusion is the same. It just, is it more detailed according to the time and circumstances, the culture, the presentation may be a little different. But there's no, ultimately there's no difference. There shouldn't, if there's a difference, a substantial difference, then it's not a bona fide scripture. Yeah. It's actually non-sectarian. We say Krishna consciousness because, there's so many reasons we could explain. It's the highest aspect of the Supreme Person, but there's other aspects. Even within the, we can say Narayan or Vishnu, in one sense it's, not, and Tattva yes, but anyway, this is too complicated if I get into that topic. But it's the same, the example given, it's the same person, but depending on the circumstance, the contact or the relationship is more or less intimate. Right? Because generally, as we know the traditions in the West, or even in the East, the relationship is very much of a distance, very respectful, right? Generally, God is considered the Father who gives us everything we need. And therefore we pray, please give us our daily bread, because we need to eat. And you are the one who provides. And very naturally, at least in the past, when after the harvest, there was the Thanksgiving ceremony in church even. You know, the people who did the harvesting, they would bring their products to the church, like wheat and vegetables or whatever, and it was placed next to the altar or whatever, recognizing that some higher power, by His mercy, has provided us with these products, because we know we cannot manufacture them. In the earth, we haven't manufactured the earth, neither the sun nor the rain, and all these things together produce what we have to eat. So therefore we give our thanks. Thanks God for all these things. But still we pray, give us our daily bread, because you never know, you know. But it's basically that relationship, a little distant, a little bit, you're not very intimate. Like your father, you have some awe and reverence. Now with Krishna, this may change. You may become his friend, or even lover. So there's some difference there. But the person is the same. It's like, you know, one person may be, let's use this, high court judge, because it's a person of respect. You know, when he enters, everybody has to get up, right? And then you can sit down. Yeah, but they're, you know, so they're there. But that same person has a family life. When he comes home, the wife will not, oh, the judge is coming, you know. and unless the children, if they're small, they will just, you know, say, get down, I want to go on your back and ride you as a horse. And the high court judge will be on the floor, you know, having the little grandchild on the back and going, you know, go faster, you know. So, and what happens? That judge, who is a very respectful person, a respected person, he enjoys that. So Krishna is like that. He is the Supreme Lord, he is the Supreme Creator, Controller, whatever, but he has his family life. You know, he has his friends and his girlfriends and his mother and father and this and that, and it's all for enjoyment. But that's a whole different topic. So some traditions, they don't conceive that, you know, God can be your child. Oh, God is a father. Which is okay. So, but that's the only difference. So therefore scripture can, there's more details, more description, like Bhagavatam gives what is called the pastimes or lila of God, which normally you don't have. You know, when, let's ask, you know, I mean, I don't know what a priest will say. When you go to heaven, what are you going to do all day long? If God is on a throne, like, you know, the king, what's the activity? Just trumpeting as an angel all the time? I don't know. I don't know what they will say. Maybe they will just say, we don't know, you know, it's inconceivable. But we know, I mean, we have some information that God, yeah, he likes to tend cows, for example. He likes to play on a flute. It's all enjoyable. And he likes to take prasadam, for sure. Made from the milk from his cows, with different flavors. I mean, it's, you know, sounds logical to me. If there's any concept of God that makes sense and that's attractive, it's Krishna. Not some old man with a beard on a throne. Which is okay, I mean, you know. But your choice. Anyway, so that's all. It's the same person, but different aspects. Okay? Yeah.
Guruji, and where does bhakti come in all this equation? Like, when we think of bhakti, is bhakti to the Supreme Personality, or you could also have bhakti for Shastra, Guru, and Sadhu?
Good question. So what's the answer? What this word is, again, it's related to bhaj, to worship, right? Now, there's one thing, sometimes bhakti is like understood or translated just as devotion, right? Or love, or even. And Prabhupada translated it in a very specific way. Whenever bhakti, the word is in the Sanskrit, What's his translation?
Devotional service.
Devotional service. Just to say, I love you, I love you. I have so much love in my heart. Okay, but how does it show? You're just saying that? Is that all? That's not sufficient. It has to be practical. So that means service. So devotional service, that's the translation for bhakti. And that bhakti is even like kirtan. It's not Durga kirtan or Durga bhakti, for example. Or, Shiva bhakti. No, it's Krishna bhakti or Vishnu bhakti. It's the Supreme Lord. That's the understanding. I mean, you can even think of maybe family bhakti. That's a reflection. It's the same energy, but it's not in its original constitutional position. Because we are part and parcels, we're spirit souls. So that love or devotional service, the real object is the Lord Himself, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, in whatever aspect. Those who are with Narayan, they have bhakti for Narayan, in any of his forms, or Ramachandra. There's different flavors, but it's the Supreme Lord. It's not just or any powerful living entity. And why Sadhu and Guru? There may be Guru Bhakti, because they're representatives of the Lord. There's no difference in one sense. They're not God, but they're, there's definitely a connection. Yeah. So, anything else?
I have one question that I'm holding it for a long time.
Oh, that means it's difficult. Get me ChatGPT.
In Sanatan Dharma, whatever traditions that we had, like in Mahabharata days also we had a lot of practices like sati or sacrificing animals or Bali Patha or gambling, like in Mahabharata Draupadi was lost. And was all this mentioned in the Shastra? Why people in Sādhu-śāstra-guru they did not oppose it? Why when Krishna was like 5,000 years ago, he took the avatar, why it was all like justified? How was it mentioned in any of the Shastra?
Can you formulate that in one sentence so I really understand it?
Like a lot of traditions.
I more or less got the idea, but I'm not sure whether I understood properly.
A lot of traditions were there. Like Madri became Sati with Pandu, right, in Mahabharata.
Okay.
A lot of yagyas were performed when animals were sacrificed. Or gambling happened during the Mahabharata war.
Okay.
All these traditions, whatever. So these cannot be justified, right? So was it mentioned in Shastra that is wrong, or was it accepted somewhere? I don't know.
Okay, no, good question actually. I haven't thought about that. Now I have to think about it. But as far as I understand, there's different Shastras for different types of people. Let's think about the Puranas. There's 18, right? 6 are considered in the mode of Sattva-guna, like Brahmana Purana, Vishnu Purana, Padma Purana, etc. And then there's 5 in the mode of passion, Rajaguna, and 6 in the Tamaguna. So those who are, for example, people, because not everybody's on the same platform of understanding, of spiritual development. And therefore, according to their situation, they will get different instructions, which if they follow, then they will gradually become elevated. Like, for example, in the 11th canto, we have this famous verse that the natural inclination of the conditioned soul is to eat meat, to drink some intoxicant, and to have sex. So therefore Shastra regulates these by sacrifice. Like you can sacrifice an animal to Kali once a month on a new moon with certain mantras and this and that, and of course part of it, the deal is, I'm killing you now, but you have the right to kill me next time. And Prabhupada used to say, anybody a little intelligent will think, is that a good arrangement? Just for me to be able to eat according to Shastra, I have to offer myself to be killed next time. Not very intelligent. I mean, So then, as far as sex goes, marriage is the license. And then you have intoxication. There's some... Yes, also, you can offer something to, I think, Durga, whatever, or Shiva, some wine, and then you take that as prasadam. So this is for a certain type of people who are in that condition. So if they follow these instructions, then gradually they first of all become a little purified by, it's not like this kama karataha, means whimsically. Whenever I feel like it, I do it. And especially organized slaughterhouses, drinking in any way, doesn't matter. And of course sex is like, with whoever I find in a street corner, if we like each other, we just do. If it feels good, do it. Very simple philosophy. Doesn't matter with whom. And nowadays this becomes more and more prominent with this poly and no binary and whatever they have, a long list of all kinds of orientations, which are, well, it means anything goes. It really doesn't matter. If it feels good, do it. So that's ashastra. That's not a very good idea. So Shastra has these provisions for certain rules and regulations depending on the stage of consciousness of the person. So those in Tamaguna, they are allowed to drink and to eat meat and to do this and that, but according to certain rules. If they do it according to certain rules, then next life they will become a little more elevated, and gradually they come to the next stage. Now those who are in Sattva Guna, they shouldn't think, oh, it says in Shastra I can gamble, I can, eat this and drink this and that. No, that's not for you. If you think this, then you become degraded. Those who are in a lower stage, they will become elevated. But if you are already on a certain higher stage and then you go back thinking that in Shastra it says this and this and this, that this Shastra is not for you. We should understand like that. So there's so many different scriptures, but there's for different people. Like even Prabhupada used to say, the 10 Commandments. He said, what kind of people are they if you have to tell them you should not steal, you should not murder, you should not, go with your neighbor's wife, or you should not do this. These are all simple rules of a civilized person. So these are not very high-level spiritual instructions, really. No, even our 4 regulative principles are not spiritual instructions. They're just very simple, basic rules to make you a human being. You don't even have to be a devotee. Some Mayavadis follow these rules also, except for chanting. Even sometimes chanting Hare Krishna, but with a different motive. Anyway, so I think this is like what we should understand, that scripture Shastra is not one type. There's so many different types for different levels of persons. So if you read something in Mahabharata about people who are doing certain things, well, you collect Kshatriyas and they're this and that, and they go hunting sometimes, and they, So, but that's not for you, I think. Unless you want to become a Kshatriya. But then you have to fight and kill, and not a good idea, I think.
But why Krishna did not ask the Yudhishthira that gambling is not...
well, he may have his plan. There's another aspect. Like, when Maharaj Parikshit was cursed. As Prabhupada said, he could have counteracted the curse. But actually it was Krishna's desire that Bhagavatam will be spoken. So sometimes devotees, they have to play different roles and do certain things that are according to our vision, maybe we wonder why. But there's always a reason behind it. Yeah. I mean, I think we should think like that. Yes, please.
Prabhuji, last question, and after that I have to go pick up my father.
Okay, yeah.
So apologies if I leave.
No,
I'll come back.
That's all right.
Question regarding what you were saying about Tamaguna and Sapaguna. There's this story that resurfaced because of a real story of some Uruguayan rugby players that a plane was crashed in the Andes Mountains. They were flying from Uruguay to Chile. The plane crashed, many died, and to survive they ate human flesh.
Yes, right.
And there was this moral issue. And one of the rugby players, in fact, even wrote a note before dying saying, you know, I'm okay if you eat my flesh to survive. And many of the survivors ate human flesh.
Yes, so?
What is your thought on it?
No, I mean, that's like practical, no? You may not be able to do it, but if they're anyway dead, in order to survive, and then you can practice Krishna consciousness, you may want to do it. It's up to you to decide. I mean, circumstances may be very extreme, and one may take decisions which, under normal circumstances, you will never do. Right? Like sacrifice. They say this thing, you know, in order to save a family, you sacrifice one member. Maybe you may not be able to do it. Then in order to save a village, you sacrifice a family. In order to save a country, you sacrifice the whole village. Difficult choices, they're called dilemmas. You know, whatever you do, it's bad. So therefore, there's this saying, the less of the two evils. No? Anyway, these are, you know, extreme circumstances, and according to your consciousness and whatever maybe Paramatma tells you, you have to make a decision. You can't give, I don't think one can give a blanket answer. In general, one should not do this or do that, because it depends on the circumstance. I mean, Prabhupada used to say, you know, yes, like for example, or even somebody, who was that? In the times of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he took a long journey from Calcutta to Delhi, and it was Ekadasi, and he was not, he was thinking, I shouldn't eat. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta told him, no, you should eat. I mean, for preaching, like, you know, even on Ekadasi, if it's necessary, you could eat grain. You can be a moralist. I mean, there's the answer. I mean, part of the answer. Like, don't tell a lie. That's a moral injunction. Now, Yudhishthira, who was it? Yes, Yudhishthira was asked to speak the lie. That Ashwatthama has died.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the trick of Ashwatthama, the elephant. But actually, Prabhupada, I have the quote, he says he was a moralist, and it was not correct what he did. He should have just followed Krishna's instruction. But he was thinking, I never speak lies, I cannot do this. So he was putting his own moral consideration above Krishna's instruction. So in that sense, Prabhupada said this was not good. So, you know, so from one side, yes, to speak a lie, you shouldn't do. But in that circumstance, you should do it. So depending on the circumstance, something which is considered bad may be necessary.
Do you think Prabhupada would have eaten flesh?
How can I speculate? Why are you asking me this question? How can you even answer that? Well, first of all, how can you? I mean, who knows? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe yes. I don't know. I mean, we may speculate about certain, even yourself, you may think, well, I will never do that. But then when the circumstance is there and you are in the situation, who knows? You may change your mind. Okay. Well, anyway, we have a principle in general, whatever is favorable for devotional service we accept, and whatever is not as favorable we reject. So you have to make a decision according to the circumstances. Is this favorable for devotional service?
Guruji, how can you remember all the verses of Srimad Bhagavad Gita? For us, it's very hard to remember what was there in that chapter, and how can you remember all that?
It's just practice after 50 years, more than 50 years. You remember some things.
In Kali Yuga, we say we lose memory.
I also losing memory, but a few things I remember. I have translated this more than one time. I've read it many times. So some things stick. It's only like 0.1% of everything. It looks big. It's like a small plant. If there's no plants at all, if you're in a desert, it looks huge, but it's nothing. If you're in the forest, so you may be in the desert. But it's just a few things I remember. That's all. And what can you do? Just practice is like that. If you practice every day certain things, then it becomes like normal. It's nothing unusual. I don't know all the verses. I know a few. Because it's always the same questions anyway. So, now I revealed the trick. It's human nature. We always have the same kind of question, right? And I already know all the answers. I've given the answers many times, and nobody believes it. Anyway, so all the best for all of you. Continue the process as much as you can according to your circumstances. It's not the same for everybody, right? But if we accept the principle, that's a big step. And then we have to see according to our situation how we can apply it. It's not the same for everybody. Like, rules and regulations for a so-called renounced person is different than for a family man. Obviously, it's not the same. Yeah. So you're all family, right? Yeah. Anybody is a renounced sadhu? No, grihastha sadhus, they are more in Kali Yuga, that's the normal way. Right? Just agree. You never fail. Alrighty. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shri Radha. What are they called?
Shri Radha Govinda.
Radha Govinda. How not? Of course. Ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.